Senator Lindsey Graham has been a strong supporter of the White House's coronavirus response, and he joins us now live from South Carolina. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. Thanks for coming. Now, you know, a lot of people are scared because we're all trying to figure out what we should be doing and processing all the information as it comes in. And as you know, it has been all over the place. So we all know that the virus doesn't have any political affiliation. So how are you doing right now?
Well, probably like everybody else, every day is sort of Groundhog Day. I'm spending a lot of time on the phone. I talked to churches yesterday. Our hotel tourism industry has been destroyed in South Carolina, manufacturers. So I'm spending a lot of time answering questions of people on the phone and trying to not just gain 100 pounds in isolation here.
Well, it's too late for me, but I'll continue. I can't. As I've said, I can't stay I cannot distance myself 6 feet from my refrigerator. But
that's my problem.
Let me ask you this question. Trump has a massive ego, and he rated himself a 10 for the way he's handling the crisis. He insists that he's done, quote, everything right, unquote. So tell me, sir, what has he done right? Name 3 things that he's done right. And then I want to hear 3 things he's done wrong.
Okay, well, let's see. The first thing he did was I think, January the 31st, stop travel from China. The Chinese are the bad guy here if you're looking for a bad guy, but I want to look forward. But the China travel ban probably saved us a lot of heartache, then eventually imposed it on Europe. And I think he's followed the advice of Dr. Fauci and Birx. On March 13th, he declared a national emergency and imposed the guidelines we have today. So I think those were 3 things that have flattened the curve and kept the exposure in the United States down. On what we need to do better, I think the key to me is testing. I can't really blame the president, but we are struggling with testing at a large scale. You really can't go back to work until we have more tests that shows who has it and who doesn't, and we're beginning to turn the corner on that.
Senator, well, I do think that you can blame the president because the Trump administration lost about 70 days in the coronavirus battle by downplaying the threat, stalling funds, not getting appropriate testing, no PPE, denying even that Americans were at risk. And Trump said, and I quote, "I take no responsibility at all." I don't know that that's real leadership. Do you agree with that he bears no responsibility as the president of the United States?
I think he's done a good job. I blame China. The person you left out here is the Chinese system, not a person. But this virus came out of China. It didn't come out of the United States. The Chinese lied to the world about the nature of the virus. We lost a lot of time. And here's what Dr. Fauci said on February the 29th. I think most of us trust him, at least I do. So he was asked, this is a Saturday morning, February 29th. He's on the Today Show. People want to go to malls. They want to go to movies. They want to go to gyms. Should we change our habits? And Dr. Fauci said, no. Right now, at this moment, there is no reason to change anything you're doing day by day. The risk is low, but it could get greater over time. So on February the 29th, the preeminent guy in the nation felt like it was okay to go to a movie or a gym. So I'd rather look forward than backwards.
Well, Senator, in January and in February, our military intelligence did tell this president that there was a virus coming out of China. But nevertheless, you cited Trump's travel ban as an important decision that he made. Many now believe that the virus in New York, at least, came from Europe, not China. And after Trump's ban on travel from China, 40,000 travelers still came into the United States. So how effective was this soft travel ban anyway?
Well, I think it was very effective. If you hadn't had a ban, there were exceptions to the ban. You're right about that. And Europe got affected, but it all came from Wuhan, China. But it seems to be that the New York infection came from Europe. Shortly after the China ban, he put restrictions on travel. But if you want to go look and see how the ban played in America, most Democrats call the guy a racist, xenophobic overreaction to ban travel from China, even with the exceptions. So we'll have a contest in November about how well President Trump handled this. We'll have a contest about how well we brought the economy back, and that's what democracy is all about. But right now, I'm worried about stopping the spread of the virus. There's a strategy against the virus. We're trying to starve it, social distancing. We're going to bomb it with drug therapies and eventually kill it with a vaccine. So my focus is keeping as many people safe and developing the drugs to lessen the effect of the virus on human beings and eventually a vaccine.
Well, since you mentioned keeping people safe, I do want to say we should start talking about the Chinese government and not the Chinese people, so we can make the differentiation.
Yeah, that's fair.
So people don't start
That's
attacking. I just wanted to, okay, very good. Megan?
Hi, Lindsey. So we were talking earlier on in the
Megan.
show that according to where you live or your political affiliation, this pandemic is viewed in two very different ways. New York has obviously a record number of deaths, and the news is very grim. But in red states and in a lot of conservative circles, there's a feeling that this might be overblown. Obviously, you're a senator from a red state in South Carolina. What do you think the answer is? Because I was saying earlier, I'm just completely conflicted on whether or not we should continue to shut the economy down in states that are impacted at a lower rate.
Well, I'm really, that's a good question. There's a lot of people on the right saying that the cure is worse than the illness, that the president overreacted. I talked to him 2 nights ago. I don't agree with that. I think the governor of New York's done a hell of a good job. I think he's explaining every day to the people in New York and the country what he's doing and what the mayor of New York are doing, working with the administration to stop the spread of the virus. Here's what I believe. If you'd went to just let it play out, there'd be a couple of million Americans dead. It's 3 times more infectious than the flu. It kills people, senior citizens like myself, very cruelly. It affects young people. So this idea that we overreacted, I don't buy. If we had not done all the things we're doing now, I think you would have well north of 1 million Americans dead. And this has been inconvenient, it's been tough, but it is saving lives. So to those who want to second guess our reaction, I don't buy it, because I am so glad the president didn't take your advice and let the damn thing play out, because they tried that in Britain and it blew up in their face. So no, I don't think we've overreacted at all. I think everything we've done to this point has saved probably well over 1 million Americans from death from the virus. And I want to reopen the economy, but the key to that is testing.
Well, President Trump said, Senator, that as president, he has total authority to reopen the country. And that's just a lie. That isn't true. And Senator Kennedy of Louisiana says making the decision to reopen the economy is like choosing between cancer and a heart attack, because the virus will spread easier, or rather faster, when we do. Why is Senator Kennedy arguing the economy over people's lives? I mean, do you agree with him on that?
Well, I think what John is saying, that there's a risk to reopen the economy, and you can't destroy the American economy to fight the virus effectively, because if we destroy the economy, we're going to lose the ability to effectively fight the virus. So here's what I think we should do. Today we'll have some changing guidelines in cold spots. Everything's not the same, but I want to be cautious, put public health first, find a way to reopen the economy in phases smartly. Now, what's the key to reopening the economy? You have BMW here in South Carolina. They're closed now. What I would like to see is manufacturers like BMW have the testing ability to call their employees back, test them all, the ones that are positive, treat them, send them home, make sure they're okay, and the rest of everybody else can go back to work. But the key to getting people back into the economy is testing. And as fighting the virus, what we've done is social distancing and mitigation has saved well over 1 million lives. I'm convinced of that. But the key is drug therapies, that we can go back to work knowing that there's a drug therapy out there that takes it from a 10 to a 1 or 2, so we all don't have to go to the hospital and go on a respirator. That's the key also to fighting the illness.
Right. We will have more with Senator Lindsey Graham when we come back. Welcome back. We are with Senator Lindsey Graham. Megan?
Hi, Lindsey. So I just want to switch gears and talk about China for a minute. So it's come out that our intelligence reports show that China has been actively falsifying its coronavirus cases and death numbers during the outbreak. There may have been tens of thousands of more deaths than maybe been reported. And now we're learning that they're censoring research on the origin of the virus. How should we hold China accountable for these cover-ups? I know Senator Hawley has suggested that we actually make them pay for some of the deaths that have happened in this country. I'm curious at China's culpability in this and their reaction. How do you think we can hold them accountable?
Well, that's a really good question. So what do we know? This is a animal to human transmission. It came from a bat. We don't know if somebody got infected doing research in the lab or they went to one of these wet markets in China and actually bought a bat and ate it. But the one thing we can do is to put pressure on China to close these wet markets. They sell puppies for human consumption in these markets. People eat bats and monkeys, and that's how this is the third pandemic to come from China. So number one, put all the pressure in the world on China to close these wet markets. They have about $1.3 trillion of Treasury notes. Senator Blackburn has a bill to basically cancel some of the debt we owe China, send them a bill for this. We need to stop trading with China until they change their practices around controlling pandemics and get their act together with wet markets. There are a lot of things we need to do to deter them. If we're not tough on China now, there'll be another one coming later. So whatever gets them to change their behavior, and it just can't be, Megan, the United States, it's got to be the world. And unless the world takes on China, it won't work.
Okay, so we're blaming China. That's legitimate. But Trump also is blaming the World Health Organization. He said that they should not receive money from the United States under its current leadership. And even if I don't understand something. Why cut off a health organization in the middle of a pandemic? Why not wait until it's over and then deal with WHO?
No, that's really a good question. I'm in charge of the appropriations over the WHO, at least a part of it. And what I want is see a change of leadership, because I think they conspired with China to downplay the nature of the virus, that they reported all through January. There was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. I've lost confidence. The money that's being suspended will go to other people throughout the world to deal with health issues. The WHO has great scientists, but it's lost confidence. I've lost confidence in the leadership. So a guy like Bill Gates, if Bill Gates was in charge of the WHO, I would double the funding, because I think we need a WHO, but he's not.
No. Well, okay. All right. I still say why now, but let me ask you about the stimulus checks, because there have been mistakes made from the website crashing to checks going to dead people, but yet the Treasury made sure to have Trump's name on the check, and he insisted upon it, having it there. His ego is out of control, and that totally breaks protocol. Now, Trump was asked yesterday why his name was on the check, and he said he didn't know much about it. Do you know why his name is on the check, sir?
No, not really. I know that during the 787 we spent during the Obama years, they had signs advertising this brought to you by the Obama administration. I just want the checks to get there. I don't really care whose name's on it. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. But the point is that these checks are coming out pretty quickly now, $1,200. If you're listening to this program, you make under $75,000, you're going to get a $1,200 check, whether you're on Social Security or not. It doesn't count towards your tax liability, and it's in the mail starting tomorrow, I think, and in your direct deposit pretty soon now, and people need the money. People are hurting out there. I get that. And to our doctors and nurses, you know, can I just add one thing to what Megan asked? Have we overreacted? I don't think so. I don't think the models were wrong. I think what we did has changed the models. And can you imagine if we had not done all the things we've done today, what our hospitals would look like all over the country? Every time you do what you're asked to do, you're taking a load off doctors and nurses. Just remember that you're helping them by practicing social distancing.
This is true. I wish we had started in, November when they say everybody had the information, but we're doing what we can do now. And right now the country has hit 22 million unemployed
Yep.
people. And is this right? You worried that these relief packages will encourage people to stay out of the workforce? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. If people are trying to feed their families,
Really good question.
People are. I think that's.
Good question.
I think it's not correct, but I'll let you answer it. Can you explain what you meant?
So here's what bothers me the most in terms outside the virus is we have 22 million people out of work at no fault of their own, and I don't see us turning the economy on anywhere near full for a long time yet. I think the summer is going to be reduced travel. Myrtle Beach is going to be a lost summer in terms of tourism. What we did, and I was the first Republican to join with Democrats to add more money into state unemployment. The maximum benefit, Whoopi, you can get in South Carolina for unemployment is $326 a week. We've added $600, a federal benefit on top of the state benefit, and I want to make people whole. I want you to get your actual salary if you're unemployed, but in this case, we've actually sometimes doubled people's salary in unemployment, and I think that will have a perverse incentive of keeping people out of the workforce. But my number one goal is to get you the check. What I worry about the most, it may be 4 to 6 weeks before anybody gets an unemployment check. The system has crashed, and we need to pay more attention to unemployment because people can't go 4 to 6 weeks without a check.
Okay, so you are happy that people are getting what they need in order to live the lives
Absolutely.
that they
They're
began
not getting,
before the
they're
pandemic.
not getting it. They're not getting
No,
it.
but
That's
it's
the problem.
coming. The check is in the mail, right? No,
I don't know.
We'll be back.
Well,
hold on, Lindsey. We'll be right back with Lindsey Graham with more. Welcome back. We're still with Senator Lindsey Graham. Joy.
So, Senator, let's talk election 2020. Okay, well, it looks as though Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden, will be the nominee against Trump.
Yep.
Now, you and I both know that Trump plays dirty. You know that. So how dirty exactly is it going to get, do you think?
I don't know how dirty it's going to get, but I think it's going to be a contest of directions. I mean, Joe Biden's a fine fellow, good guy. I've known him for years. He'll be a tough opponent for President Trump, but it's going to be about where you want the country to go. Can you believe in climate change and not support the Green New Deal? I think so. It's socialism versus capitalism. There's going to be so many big choices the American people can make. I think it's going to be an exciting election, and I like President Trump's chances. I really do.
Okay, let me ask a follow-up on what you just said, because the Republicans suddenly seem to have gotten on board embracing democratic socialism with some of these measures, things like paid sick leave, unemployment insurance, free testing and health coverage. Aren't you worried that Americans will like these things so much and want to keep them? What are you going to do then?
Actually, that's a really good question. I was talking to my colleagues about that. There's a time for big government. Big government helped us get through World War II. That's when we had the Defense Production Act back then. Instead of making cars, we're making tanks and planes. There's definitely a time for the government, and we need to work on our broken unemployment systems at the state level. There's an all-hands-on-deck approach at the Department of Labor. But what is the most sustainable way to keep the economy strong? It's not perpetual big government. It's relying on the private sector in partnership with the government. So I'm okay with helping people who have just been devastated to get back on their feet, but I don't want to have a healthcare system where the federal government decides who gets what when. I want the private sector involved in healthcare. And finally, you're going to see a breakthrough in the vaccine, not come from the federal government, but from the private sector. Don't destroy the goose that laid the golden egg when it comes to medical technology.
Hi, Lindsey. It's Megan again. Dr. Fauci said that he could not guarantee that it would be safe to vote in person by Election Day. Do you think that mail-in ballots is something that we should be considering?
I think every state should have that option, but I don't want to mandate voting by mail. I'm hopeful by November we'll have a vaccine around the corner, drug therapies that lessen the effect on human beings so they don't have to go to the hospital, and that we'll have mass testing and have the economy actually moving forward. So from my point of view, you have absentee voting in South Carolina if you can't go to the polls, but I don't want to mandate national mail-in voting. I don't want a national mail-in voting system. Let the states determine. But I do believe if we do our job right, come November, we're going to have turned the corner on drug therapies and we get back to more normal society.
Senator, before we go, you are up for re-election, and you are likely to be running against a man named Jamie Harrison in what some say is actually going to be a pretty tight race. And it was announced last night that Jamie Harrison outraised you by $2 million last quarter. Are you concerned about this opponent?
Yeah, send money, help me. Yeah, I've known Jamie. Jamie's a good guy. Went to Yale, a very accomplished man. He was chairman of the Democratic Party. I like my chances, but I take nothing for granted. And I'm excited about choosing a president in November. I'm excited about my state being able to evaluate me. But right now, I'm more focused on making sure that we come out of this smartly. We don't open up the economy at the sake of our own health, that we develop drugs that lessen the effect on this and eventually get a vaccine. We're in a war with this virus, and I intend to win it. We're going to starve it, bomb it, and kill it. We'll have an election in November, and I make a prediction. I think I win.
All right. Well, thanks to Senator Lindsey Graham. We will be right back.